Hi, I'm Annie. Contact information is in the description. So this video might be kind of weird. It might not make sense to a lot of people, but I think some people will resonate with it. Just something that I've been processing my whole life and processing a little bit recently this week. So reality is really bizarre to me. I feel like I'm trapped inside of a robot. I'm aware enough that I can see my patterns and see my programming, but I can't necessarily stop it or change it very efficiently or gracefully. The programming has this heavy inertia that's difficult to stop, kind of like a really heavy flywheel that's hard to stop because it has so much momentum. And my personality is a program that's running automatically, but I'm also watching it from an observer perspective. That has been my experience for as long as I can remember. And sometimes I can feel stuck and trapped or frustrated by it, but when I zoom out and look at the whole picture of my life, I have made changes and deprogramming has occurred. I do have some agency over the programming and deleting it or rewriting it. But day to day, sometimes it's hard to see that progress. And I've heard a lot from people in the objective personality community that they can feel really trapped by this self-observation game, seeing that the personality is a program, but kind of falling asleep to that self-awareness over and over again and feeling powerless to change it or frustrated to make changes efficiently. So for me, it feels like going unconscious and waking up over and over and over again to this self-observation and kind of switching back and forth to this automatic code that's playing through me and then waking up to this observer perspective. When I was younger, it was more uncomfortable because I didn't know what to do with that information. And I think the discomfort of this really kind of peaked when I was about 23. The older I get, the more and more comfortable I am with this phenomenon of reality. And it's more like an interesting curiosity. And it's more comfortable because I stopped resisting it or reacting to it or judging it. So when I see it, I just bring consciousness to it over and over again. Going asleep and then waking up again and bringing consciousness back to it without adding any drama. So at this point, self-observation feels really normal to me because I've sort of always been able to access it. It's always been like I'm two people. I'm this code, this programming that's playing out through me, and then I'm also the one who observes that. So I see Annie doing Annie things, reacting in Annie ways, having Annie thoughts. I see the same old patterns over and over again, but I also see Annie changing over time. And I see that some of the programs are deleted or rewritten. And then I get really tripped out about who is the I that is observing Annie, and is the I who observes Annie also a program? So there's personality, the automatic program, the code, and there's also some essential force that animates that. Like without that animating force, I would just be a robot playing out these thoughts and behaviors and tendencies. But there's some animating force that feels more real, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's also a trick. So sometimes I start to identify with that animating force, universal consciousness or God or whatever you want to call it. And that is a more comfortable perspective. It's a more comfortable way to live, but I don't know that it's necessarily true. Possibly it's just another illusion. So when I think about the word truth, I think about something essential and irreducible. The world is filled with illusions on top of illusions, mirrors reflecting mirrors. It's just like this fucked up hall of mirrors. I have no idea what's true. You peel back the layers of the onion and you think that you understand and you feel like you've attained the truth. And maybe you even feel a little self-righteous about it. This is the truth. I have attained it. You might become attached to that understanding or attach the idea of that truth. But then you discover that it's just another layer. Self-awareness seems to increase over time, and you continuously update your understanding, update your worldview, update your identity. But I suspect that irreducible truth is beyond identity. So anytime you think that you possess the truth from an I perspective, you haven't arrived at it because you can't arrive at it. It's beyond you because it's beyond persona. So you think that you've arrived, but you're still dealing with some layer of the onion. The word I automatically implies you. It's language, so duality is implicit within it. But I suspect that irreducible truth is beyond duality. It's whole and complete, and it can't be divided. And any division of it that you think you're perceiving is just an illusion. And this conceptualization that I'm prattling on about is complete and utter bullshit. bullshit because I just said it and I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm just a stupid robot. But maybe there is essential truth inside of me somewhere. If irreducible truth is the only thing and it exists and I exist, then I must be that. I must be truth in some way because it's the only thing and I am. So maybe truth is my essential nature, but there's all this bullshit of illusions reflecting illusions, the house of mirrors phenomenon. So it's really difficult to get at. I'm so sorry if this doesn't make any sense. But I think that's what they mean when they say a finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. That's a Thich Nhat Hanh quote. The teaching is merely a vehicle to arrive at the truth. Don't mistake it for the truth itself. A finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. That's the quote. So human experience is programs on top of programs. And in popular culture, we have this fear of robots, but we have created them in our own image, right? Because they're just programs playing out automatically. External reality is a reflection of ourselves. So robots are a reflection of humans. We created them, so they are a reflection of us. And there's this cultural fear that robots will become self-aware and that they will destroy us. But really, for us, self-awareness destroys the robot. So there's this really weird reflection going on in this cultural fear that we have of robots. Self-awareness destroys the programming and therefore destroys the robot. So when we're identified with our programs, then we're more identified with the robot. We are the robot. And when we identify as the one who is observing the program, then the programming starts to fall apart. It's easier to deprogram and to rewrite. And naturally, this makes the robot feel threatened. When you see the program, then, the part of you that identifies with that program feels threatened. And so I think that's why people can become uncomfortable in the objective personality community when they start to see their own code and see their automatic tendencies that play out. They can feel threatened, like a part of themselves is dying because there is some part of themselves that is identified with that programming. So maybe we can transcend our own robotness, or maybe we can just be empowered in that position of agency and consciousness to write the programs in the way that we choose. Instead of allowing them to run automatically, we can have more agency in writing the programs. So you can come back to consciousness and awareness over and over again and really see the program for what it is. And then from that position, you can choose differently. And it can be tiring, but it doesn't need to be torturing. I mean, it's kind of interesting to observe. If you don't react and freak out about it, then it's just like, isn't life interesting? Like, what a weird game it is that we're playing. But I still don't really have any idea what's going on, obviously. I have no idea. It's weird. Reality is weird.